In this video, I am here to present to you a new and improved way to judge video games and also other media and other things. So, I started thinking, especially with the new fiasco with the critic reviews, that there's got to be a new system to rank video games. So we're doing a round number score from 1 to 10, as you can see, and this is going to counteract a lot of these scores that are just given out. We're not just going to give out 10 out of 10 for no reason. There's going to be a meaning behind the metric. So I'm just going to explain a little bit. So I've got 1 through 10, and in theory, round numbers aren't the best way to score anything. Sometimes you really need to go decimal points, but I've made it optimal in this new true scale. Because for every rank, you're going to have descriptions. And I don't just give you one adjective, I don't just give you one superlative, I give you multiple superlatives so that you can kind of gauge what my thought process is and how we determine what a video game, what a piece of work is actually worth. So we'll start at number 10, and I'll explain each one a little bit in detail. So to get a perfect score, this is almost impossible. In the context of video games, maybe 1 or 2 games per generation should get a 10. You're talking about one of the best games ever made. So for me, that's like Persona 5, maybe Bloodborne, I don't know. And we're hoping for the next 10 coming up, Ghost of Tsushima. But for 10, we're thinking masterwork. An unforgettable, earth-shattering experience. Phenomenal, extraordinary, next-level art. Now, for this one, I use, way too many words, but, that should be your feeling when you get a 10. So 10 is masterpiece, not easy to get that. 9 is a great game. We overuse the word great a lot, okay? Not every game is a great game, and not every game is a good game, but I want the gap between a good game and a great game to be substantial, and that's why we look at the words I use. So, extravagant. Now, this is a key word. The big difference between a 10 and a 9. Sometimes a game tries too hard. Sometimes it's overly ambitious. It can be a little extravagant. Sometimes it doesn't quite hit the mark that it reaches for, that it's trying to set for itself. And that's an example of the difference between a 9, which is a great game, an astonishing achievement, but it's not quite a masterpiece. It's not quite one of the greatest games ever made. It's on its way to getting there. So then we have 8, which is a good game. 7 is a decent game. Now I'm looking at more of like 6 and 7 for the average games. For the games that, okay, this is certainly something that I would recommend to you to play. And, going down the list from there, we have competent, middle of the road. This is probably 5, 6, 7. Those are the average games. And 8, 9, 10, those are the really, top tier games. 4 is bottom of the barrel. And then 3 and 2, 1, these are just horrible games. If you look at my review criteria, 10 is an essential game. Okay, 10, you have to play this game. You can't not know about it if it's a 10. It's going to be everywhere. You kind of have to feel compelled to play it. A 9 is also a must play. Any game that gets a 9, I think you should play. Now, anything above an 8, I would certainly say go play this game. You have my green light to go play it and check it out. By all means, you can't go wrong with an 8 or above. Now, if you're at 6 or 7, I would probably recommend the game. Probably recommend to take a look at it. I'm not begging you to go play it. I'm not saying you must play this game. 6 or 7 is an average game. And if it's a 4 or 5, I would say maybe you should take a glance at it, gloss over it, maybe rent the game. Maybe look at some footage of it. If you can play it, fine. Don't go out of your way to get it, but if it's available to you, you might try it for a little bit cheaper than $60. And if it's a 1 to a 3, I would say obviously don't go anywhere near. Don't even consider playing these games. Don't waste your time thinking about them. And if it's a 1, it's just one of the worst games ever made. Just utter and absolute trash, barely functioning at all. Has really almost no reason to exist. So that's my scale. and we're going to be using this for the future. This is legit. I'm telling you, this is legit. Every rank on this metric has a meaning. It really means something. And this is different than IGN just giving a game a 10 because they feel like it. Like, oh, we're anticipating that other critics are going to give this a high score. It's a very good game. Might as well just know. Not every game is a 10. Only a few games really deserve a 10. I mean, if that's as high as you can set the bar, you have to rank it against other games that have set the bar that high. So this is just going to be a more accurate representation, a more precise way to finally rank games and other media, other forms, the way they should be ranked. So I'm excited for this, and we're going to be using it from now on in all of my reviews. I'm going to give a great analysis, and then at the very end, I'm going to give my appraisal with a number that I think corresponds to the right sentiments, to the right ideas.